This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
I just got to unmute myself. Welcome back to the Special Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Spakowski, founder of Special Chronicles and a former Southern Travel Global Messenger of Special Olympics. Before we dive into today's conversation, I want to take a moment to thank our amazing partners who make this podcast possible. This episode is brought to you by our amazing partners, ComEd Energy Force, the nation's first in the U.S., the first energy and solar efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/energyforce. And United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group, working to create a more inclusive experience in air travel and in the workplace and connecting people of all abilities. And if you like this episode, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. You can follow us online at specialchronicles.com. That's specialchronicles.com. And join our community on social media at Special Chronicles. Don't forget to subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast app so you never miss a story that empowers and inspires, as this week will do so. On today's episode, I'm honored to be joined by a returning guest, by a very special guest, Crystal Williams, who a few years ago was on with her husband Matthew, who is also a former Southern Travel Global Messenger. Crystal is an author and passionate disability advocate. Crystal recently published her first memoir titled "Finding My True Happiness: Life, Love, and Everything in Between." In her book, Crystal shares her deeply personal story of growing up with Kabuki Syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that affects multiple parts of the body, from her first surgery at just 3 months old to facing hearing loss and learning to self-advocate. Crystal has turned her challenges into a powerful story of resilience and hope. Today, we'll dive into what happiness really means, how she overcame obstacles, and the message she wants to share with young people and the world about living boldly with a disability. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode at specialchronicles.com. Just look down wherever you are listening to this right now, and where you will find links to Crystal's book, her website, ways to connect with her, and resources related to disability awareness and empowerment. So grab your headphones or your Bluetooth speaker or your car speaker and get ready for an honest, uplifting, and eye-opening conversation with Crystal Williams. Please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Crystal back on Special Chronicles. Welcome back, Crystal.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, it's exciting to have you back on. And for those of you listening, go on specialchronicles.com and search for Matthew and Crystal Williams, and find out when, because I forgot what episode and when you were on, because over 780 episodes later, 17 years, it's hard to keep track of.
3 years ago.
You said 3 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because I was trying to think of when we first got connected. I think we first met at the Abu Dhabi World Games. Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and then we met again at the Berlin World Games. Yeah, so sometime in the middle of those two World Games. Yeah, so awesome. And it was exciting to hear. I've been following your blog and your Facebook and Instagram pages, and saw that you just came out with a new memoir. So why don't we get things started and share with our listeners what inspired you to write your memoir, Finding My True Happiness?
Well, to me, it all kind of started out with the fact that, there's so many other disabilities out there that, there's some that people know that are well known, and then there's a lot of other ones that are not well known. And mine obviously is not very well known at all. So I was like, well, nobody's written about Kabuki Syndrome yet, so I might as well tell my story, and hopefully it will inspire and help others. Because honestly, that's all I really want in it, is to be able to help somebody else who is, living with the syndrome, and hopefully make their lives better, not only for them, but their family as well. Because back when I was little and everything, there wasn't much about it. So now there's so much about the syndrome, which is awesome. And so you can go on to different, resources online. And the Kabuki Syndrome Foundation has been an amazing organization to know more about it if you want to learn more. But
Awesome.
that's the reason, is I just wanted to be able to share my story with others, and just to be able to reach out to other people who have it, and people that don't, that want to know more about our disabilities. Because we're all unique in our own different ways.
Absolutely. And I'll for those of you listening in, if you're not watching the video podcast, if you're listening to us on audio right now, I'll put links in the show notes to the Kabuki Syndrome Foundation.org, as well as the Crystal's website. So if you guys want to learn more, can you share with us a little bit more about what your disability is and how has it shaped your life experiences?
Well, okay, I'm just going to start off with my syndrome is very unique, very complicated. It comes with a lot of very unique challenges, I'd say the least. So I'm not going to get through everything, but I'll just kind of list off a few of the things that I have. So for you watching, I had a hole in my lip right there. It's called a palate, and I got that repaired when I was it's written in my book. I can't remember exact information, but yeah, I had my first. That was one of my first surgeries I had when I was like a couple of weeks old, I think, or not even a week old. Anyway, so that's one of it. I have a hearing loss, which is another part of it as well. There's many ways that people can have it. I have a very different one. I have a moderate to severe hearing loss. Other people have a lot worse, or not as much. It's all different for everybody. Another thing it's very common is seizures. I'm very fortunate that I grew out of seizures. I had them till I think I was about 5 or 4 years old. Again, that's in my book. You'll find out about that. Another one I think that's really important that I'm going to point out is I had poor balance, and I have low muscle tone still, but it's also part of it. So a story my parents have shared with me multiple times is when I was little, apparently if I was sitting on a chair, like I had to be strapped in because my core balance was so bad that I would like fall off a chair. So I did a lot of therapy with that, through like therapeutic horseback riding, which is mentioned in my book as well. But yeah, there's multiple different things. Like there's heart issues. I've had kidney problems. Yeah, like there's so much of different things. Everybody's unique with whatever. Some people have more things than others, and it just depends on the person.
Absolutely. What, as just like yourself and your husband Matthew and myself and my girlfriend Georgia, we all face different challenges. So what challenges did you face with hearing loss, and how did you learn to adapt?
So I first started wearing hearing aids when I was a baby, and obviously, apparently, it was bad to the point where when I started wearing hearing aids, my hearing improved a little bit, and it's been stable ever since then. Like I go get my hearing tested every year or 2 years for that. But yeah, I mean, for me, my hearing, it has been, a big, it's been a very big impact. I mean, for example, COVID. One thing that I will say to people that I've mentioned in my book, but I'm going to say it to you guys anyway through the podcast, is whenever I talk to somebody, I'm not looking directly at your eyes. I'm looking down at your mouth because I can lip read. And I've learned how to lip read when I was a young child because my parents thought I would never be able to talk and everything. So I've learned sign language. I don't know much of it anymore, unfortunately. But anyway, so for example, with COVID, when everybody had to wear masks, it was hard for me because, like I said, I'm so used to looking down and watching somebody's mouth move so I could, really engage in the conversation. So it made me really have to work extra hard to really focus in on somebody talking to me. And even in noisy situations, I've learned how to drown out the noise because I've had hearing aids since I was, not even a year old. So pretty much my whole life. And I've been able to learn how to drown the noise out behind me or around me by just being able to focus at the person that's talking to me. So it could be, right in front of me, beside me, whatever. As long as I'm looking down at their mouth and I'm, really paying attention to what they're saying, I can really engage in a conversation with somebody.
Awesome. And for those of you that are watching on specialchronicles.com, click on YouTube. I did move my mic just a little bit, so hopefully I'll try to on future episodes. I'll try to remember to always move my mic just in case we have anybody that has a hearing loss. So my mouth is not hiding behind the microphone, so you all can hear. Just like yourself, I've had speech therapy and early interventions growing up. I'm sure your husband Matthew has, my girlfriend Georgia has, like a lot of us. How did these early interventions like speech therapy and support centers help you in your development?
Well, I was very fortunate because when I was born and everything, my hospital here in BC, the Vancouver, the BC Children's Hospital, had so many wonderful resources for my family. So my parents were able to reach out to different organizations or, the doctors and nurses were able to hook my parents up with different services that I needed, and even services for my older brother at the time too, to make it a little easier on not only my mom and dad but my older brother at that time too. So yeah, a couple of the resources that were really helpful for me growing up back in the day was the Elks Hearing Resource Center. That was one of them. And then the other one was the Early Childhood Development Center. I guess I don't remember those, obviously, but yeah, my parents have said that they were very helpful, not only for me, but them and my brother as well. So, it's always great to be able to have these services in place. And I know my parents were very grateful to the doctors and nurses at BC Children's Hospital to be able to give my parents those resources that we needed at the time.
Awesome. And speaking of family, you just mentioned your family support, and for a lot of us with disabilities, our family and network of support help us to become who we are, help us to be accepted and included. So, can you share with us a little bit more about what role did your family and support networks play in your journey toward self acceptance?
Well, I mean, not just them. There's a lot of other people that were involved as well. Like, I started seeing a counselor when I was, I want to say, probably 11 years old. And I've been going to counseling ever since, but I've had different counselors along the way. So having a counselor was definitely a big part of it because they were able to help me not only learn to try to accept my disability, but they were also able to give me some tools to be able to help me with certain situations. So, like if I would get really upset, they would tell me different ways to try to relax and not lash out at people because I used to unfortunately do that quite a bit because obviously, being a person like yourself that has a disability, Daniel, it's hard when you don't have other people around you that understand what's going on, and it's hard to not have anybody else around you that has your disability. So there was a lot of times where not only I would get frustrated, but I know my parents would get frustrated too. And that was something that I was really grateful for sure. Was definitely the counseling. I've had through school, I always had a teacher's assistant with me, or in elementary school, I had a place to go. So, like in the middle of class, I could go into the resource room and they could help me with whatever, homework that I was maybe behind in, or they could help me with a project. So that was a really big help. And then obviously some of the challenging classes that I had in elementary school, like for example, like English and math and social studies and all those kind of things, I was able to have a teacher's assistant there to help me with that stuff too, to be able to understand it a little bit more. And then obviously with high school, things were a little bit different. Of course, my situation here in Canada, we have different programs and stuff for people with disabilities, and there was a program for people that had disabilities for like English and math and sciences and all that kind of stuff. So I would go there for that. And also throughout elementary school and high school, I had somebody check on me with like my hearing and stuff. So they would just check to make sure everything was okay if I needed. Um, Not necessarily as much in high school, but in elementary school, I used to wear an FM system that would attach to my hearing aids. I explain it more in the book, but that was very helpful for my teacher to have a little microphone on them and so I could be able to hear them better and understand, if it was math class or whatever, like I could really understand what they're saying. So, those kind of services were really, really helpful as well. And then another one that obviously is near dear to my heart is the therapeutic riding stable that I ride at. I started out there with it because of how, like, my poor balance and all that is just, to the point where I actually really needed those services. So yeah, that was another big thing as well, is being able to have them help me to make me who I am, able to walk today and do all the things that I love. But yeah, there's so many different services out there. I can't name them all. I'm pretty sure the ones that I've missed are probably in the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, people can read about that.
Yes, awesome. So, and we'll definitely include information about how our listeners can find the book at the end of the program today. But bringing it back to your book, in the title of your book, you have the words true happiness. How do you define true? Because I'm sure what I love about, especially how you title the book, but of relating about living with a disability with true happiness, because I'm sure there might be some people outside of our disability community, outside of the Special Olympics movement, that some people might have a different viewpoint and might not see happiness with this. Like a lot of people might focus on our challenges and might think that we're not happy, but when they read your book, when they read your blog, when they listen to my podcast, when they hear you and I and Matthew or my girlfriend Georgia speak, they see the opposite of that we're living with a disability, but we also can have true happiness. So how do you define true happiness in the concept of living with a disability?
Well, Daniel, the way I look at it is, for years I was kind of in denial with my disability and everything. And, I would try to do whatever I could to try to fit in with other people. And obviously that wasn't working out because I was, kind of, like they say, an elephant in the room. But what I would say about it is, for me, a big part of it was through counseling. Counseling really helped me learn to not only try to accept who I am as a person, but like having my disability. But it also, like I said, it gave me tools in how I can cope with having a disability, but then also, being able to get involved with all these great organizations like Special Olympics, like my riding stable that I've been riding at, and just being able to be around those kind of people has, helped as well, because, you think about it, we're all kind of the same, but very different. And we only have one life, and we either, think of the positive about it, or you think negatively about it. And I've just gone to the fact that, what? Yeah, I am different, but I have certain skills that I'm really good at and things that make me really happy for, that whatever that makes me. And, for myself, being able to express myself through my writing, whether it's through my book, writing on my blog, or it's just, being able to try and help our community around me. If we all would just learn to accept each other and try to uplift everybody, then, maybe things would be a lot different. And so for me, I would say, the last few years, I've just grown to be, true to myself, who I am, and, try to live life to the fullest. Like, do the things that I love and exercise and just be with my family and friends and, fill my cup up with the things that matter to me the most. I guess that's the way I can put it.
Awesome. I love that. And just like what you do and so many other advocates are doing, we're breaking down a lot of the misconceptions about the disability. So what are some of the common misconceptions about disability that you aim to break down, whether it's through your book, through your blog, through speaking? What are some of the misconceptions about disability that you aim to break down?
Well, one thing that is really important to me is, like I explained it in my book, and I think I've mentioned to you before, Daniel, about it, but school was really hard on me. And there was a lot of aspects of school that were good, but there was also things that were bad too. And for me, what I really want to try to be able to get across to everybody is, yeah, okay, there's people out there that have certain disabilities that you can see, but also the ones that have, for example, like myself, I have a hearing loss. You probably wouldn't recognize it because you can't see my hearing aids at all. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm getting at there. It's more for me, like I want to be able to help others by I want to be able to educate other people, to be able to not try to hurt other people. Because I had a lot, like I had issues in school, more in high school with like teachers and students as well. But there was a lot of times where I found it hard to be who I was, and if I was having a real problem with something, some of the teachers would just kind of almost push it away or just make me feel worse about myself, kind of thing. So, and I just want to be able to not only share my story about it, but I want to be able to tell other people, like it's okay that we're different, but more importantly, I just want other people that are outsiders, I want them to understand more. Like not just, because we have a disability, but just be a little more patient with us. Like, say we're having a moment where we're really frustrated about something and somebody's trying to help you, but you say to them like, look, I just need a moment to myself. Can you please give me a minute here or whatever? Like I don't want somebody to try to be, up in your face about it. I want them to be able to realize like there's a lot of us that are able to talk, and when we tell somebody like, look, we just need our space, we mean it. Like we need our space. Like I'm sure Daniel, will have a moment where your parents or whatever make you mad about something, or you and Georgia have a fight about something, or something at work happens and you lose your cool, but then you try to recompose yourself and just like pull yourself together but then somebody comes up to you and like they're trying to help you and they think they're trying to help you and they're, they think that they're being helpful when they're actually not. Is I've had those kind of experiences before in school. So I think that's something I would really like to really focus on with people is just be a little kinder to us, be patient, and, like not try to rush things with us and, do things for us that we're more than capable of doing, but just listen and try to understand us a little bit more. There's situations in my book from school that I explain, and you can read more about it there. But yeah, for me, that's something I would say is really important, just to be able to tell people that are outsiders, that have never been around somebody with a disability, is just be patient with us, be kind, you know, give us our space when we need our space, and just give us a little bit of grace
Awesome.
um, to try to get what we're trying to get out, because there's a lot of us that have I'm trying to think of the word, like there's people that really struggle with getting words out about things and everything. And if people could be a little more patient, then maybe that would make a big difference.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that, and building upon that, creating more patience and kindness and understanding for those of us with disabilities, and staying resilient during difficult times. There was during my Southern Survival Global Messenger years, there was a leadership academy training that we did. I think it was virtual, and I forgot who was leading it, but it was around the same type of topic about staying resilient during difficult times. So, how do you, whether it's with your disability, with your daily life, with your life with Matthew, how do you stay resilient during difficult times, and what keeps you motivated?
Well, one thing that has really helped me is I am a big book nerd. I love to read lots. But something else that helps me is I love quotes. In fact, actually, in our office, I have a bulletin board up on our wall, and I don't know how many quotes I have up on the bulletin board now, but it's one of the first things you see when you walk into our place. And everybody that comes into our place always takes a look. And there's always a quote on there that somebody finds really interesting. So, I love being able to read quotes and read different books. And I've been able to, not only working out has been another big thing for me, to help with my disability. Again, seeking counseling. That's another thing that's been really helpful as well, is being able to talk to somebody, to be more, more resilient in that way, and just being kinder to myself and trying to be more positive. And I have a really hard time sometimes, especially in the fall and winter. I suffer with depression, and so I really have to get on myself about working out and, getting outside and doing things that make me happy, So that's for me, that's been a big thing, is reading lots of good books that are not only like self-help books, but other books as well. Like I read multiple different things. Like I read romancy stuff, I read memoirs, I read self-help, all sorts of different things. And so that's one. And my cats, we love our cats. Being able to be around animals is another thing that's been helpful as well to, shape who I am and have my resilience, and just learning through this whole process of writing my book. I know why there's a lot of people that don't finish writing their books, because it is one of those things where you have to put your blood, sweat, and tears into this in order for you to do it. And that was one thing for me, was really trying to stay accountable with myself and putting like some reminders. Like I had reminders on my laptop and my phone, and I still do. And another thing that's been really helpful is I have a vision board in our bedroom. So I put things up on there as well. When I complete something, I put something else up. So that's been helpful. So it's a lot of little things that have been able to help me to get to where I am through all of this.
Awesome. We have a lot of, people of all ages that listening to this podcast. But I've heard a lot from a lot of young people, and also families that listen to the program. So if you could speak just to briefly to any young people and families, what advice will you offer young people and families who are navigating similar challenges, whether it's a similar disability to you, whether it's a similar disability to myself, or to Matthew, or to Georgia, or any, like, what advice will you offer young people and families that are navigating similar challenges?
First off, I would say I want to thank the parents and caregivers out there that are our first people to guide us through life, because I know for my parents with my syndrome, back in the early 90s when I was born, that many years ago, there wasn't a lot about Kabuki Syndrome. And so, it was hard for my parents. They had to do a lot of research. And I'm sure for you, Daniel, there's probably times when you were little growing up, your parents were trying to seek out different resources as well. So I want to say, a big thank you to all of those. Moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, whatever, because you guys are a big impact in helping us grow as individuals. And I would say also not to give up, because I know there's a lot of people out there with my disability through the foundation that are just discovering it now. There are doctors that are not being completely honest with people, and so it's hard to try and get a diagnosis, and the doctors look at you and be like, well, I don't know what this is, send you somewhere else. And so I would say, first of all, to the caregivers and parents, you guys are doing a great job of raising us to get us to where we need to be. And I would say not to give up, because, look at us, Daniel and I here. Now, there's so many other people I know Daniel has had on his podcast that have disabilities as well, that have, gone through all those dark tunnels, and it's all probably all felt like, oh, you're never going to get to the end of the tunnel. But you know what? You will. Just, stop for a minute, take a deep breath, and just give yourself a pat on the back. And just continue to do what you're doing to help your child or your grandchild or whoever it is, because it is so important to be able to have that foundation to start out with, because it's not only helped me, I know Daniel, it's helped you from many conversations you and I have had. So I would say, for one thing, is don't give up. Do whatever you can to look online, get in contact with whoever you need to get in contact with, and just reach out to people. I've had a couple people reach out to me. I think it was through Instagram, actually, and they were both parents that were kids that have the same syndrome as me, and just say thank you. And I really, those just, that just really melts my heart to be able to have a parent talk to me and reach out and just say, like, thank you, you're giving me some hope. See how far you've come and everything. And I've been able to keep in contact with some of them, and they've been able to give me updates on their kids, which is awesome. And so that's what I would mainly say, is just don't give up. And for other people, I don't know, say, school age, that are like myself and Daniel, who we were years ago through school, is don't be afraid. Just reach out. If you have a connection through social, if you have social media or your parents have social media, do your research and reach out to any organization that you know of, or search online and look for whatever information you need, and don't be afraid to reach out, because I know you for a fact. For myself, I love it when I have somebody reach out to me about their son, their daughter that has the same disability as me. And if I'm able to give them a little bit of hope, or just be able to, get your kid to see how much of a difference, it can be, because through my syndrome, there's a lot of complications, and so a lot of surgery is involved for a lot of it. And I know that for myself, when I was going through a lot of those times, it was till I was almost an adult, and those were definitely the hardest times in my life, was in school and having all these issues. So that's what I would say. It's just, for one, for parents, give yourself a pat on the back, because you guys are doing a wonderful job. And I would say to don't give up, keep going. If somebody gives you an answer that you don't want, or that deep down is not the right answer you need, go to somebody else. Keep going. Don't stop until you get the information that you need, because we all deserve to be here, and we all deserve to be happy and live our lives the way we want. I mean, look at Daniel. He's a podcast host. I'm a little jealous about that. I don't know if I could do something like that, but there's other people I'm sure you've interviewed that have become actors that have disabilities as well. It used to be the fact where none of that would have happened back in the day, back in like the early 2000s. Now, if you think about it, like there's people out there that have disabilities that are models. There are people that are actors, actresses. Daniel, for example, he's a podcast host. I'm an author, which I never thought would actually happen, but it did. So I basically would just say, like I said, don't give up. Just keep going and make sure you have that support around you that you need.
Yeah, awesome. I love what you said, and speaking to that one particular line of not to give up. So my dad, who's the business manager at Special Chronicles, what our listeners will hear at the very end of the when we sign off of this episode, they'll hear that piece of advice that my dad always gives me to not give up. And so that's a piece of advice that I'm glad that you shared with our listeners, that we also try to share on at the end of the episode of this podcast. Will, I know the time has just flown by. Will, and I know I've been sitting in the studio for the past couple hours. batch recording. But where can our listeners find your book, Crystal, and follow your ongoing advocacy work? For those of you not watching the video podcast, when it's safe, if you're listening to the audio podcast, when it's safe to do so, look down in the description wherever you're listening to this on specialchronicles.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we'll put links to your blog, Crystal. But where can our listeners find your book and follow your advocacy work?
Thanks, Daniel. I really appreciate that. So far as I know right now, you can get my book anywhere on Amazon, so all over the world on Amazon. Another place I know for sure you can go online is Barnes and Noble. I'm not sure if they have it in their store yet, but they have them online. Another website you can go to is bookshop.org is another place I know where my book is at. And yeah, I really appreciate all the love and support. One thing I want to mention before I forget is for anybody that goes out to buy my book, I just want to say thank you very much for all the love and support. I really appreciate it. I just want to also mention to everybody as well is please don't forget to rate and review my book as well, wherever you buy it from, because reviews are very helpful to the author, but also to help other people that might be interested in reading the book as well. So I would also just want to point that out. Please do that if you can. I would really appreciate it. If you want to know more information about Kabuki Syndrome, you can go to the Kabuki Syndrome Foundation website. That's a great information source for resources and everything. They have videos and all sorts of different things on their website about that. Also, for more information about myself, you can go to my website, and which is my name, Crystal M. Williams. For those of you that are listening and watching on YouTube, so you can go to my website to read my blog post. And also, I have all of my social links are on my website. And you can also email me as well. So if you want to get in touch with me, feel free to send me an email, and I'd be happy to get back to you about whatever questions or concerns you have. And yeah, no, I would just really appreciate that. So yeah, no, thank you so much, Daniel, for letting me come back on your podcast. I was so excited today about that. Yeah, it's such an honor to be able to come on the show and my book, which I have copies in front of me here. If you guys want to see, the paperback. That's the
Awesome.
paperback. If you want to see that. And then here's the hardcover. If you want to look at the hardcover, for those of you on YouTube. And I know, Daniel, you said that you would put a picture on your
For the episode, yeah. So for the if you guys are listening to this, if you're listening to this on specialchronicles.com, the featured image for this episode will put a picture of the cover of Crystal's book, and then I believe also on Spotify, the episode outlook should be the cover of the book, and then the YouTube thumbnail also. So for those of you who I'm listening, definitely, thank you again, Crystal. It's always
Can I just mention something as well, Daniel? I know there's people out there that like audiobooks and ebooks. So right now I just have the paperback and the hardcover. I am working hard on trying to figure out how to turn my book into an ebook. And also I will eventually at some point turn it into an audiobook. And then hopefully I will change my book into different languages, because I've had a couple people reach out to me about that as well. So just please be patient with me. I'm trying to figure this out. A lot of this is so new to me, as so if you want the ebook or an audiobook, that's coming. I don't know exactly when, but for now it's just the hardcover and the paperback is available.
Awesome. Well, there's an app that I use to help me read that's called Speechify, where you can scan in pages of a physical book, and then it tones any text into an audiobook. And so that's so for those of you listening, maybe I'll try to see if I can put a link to an affiliate link for Speechify if you guys all want. If in the meantime, until the audiobook comes out, for those of you listening, if you have Speechify, you can scan in pages of Crystal's book, and then it will read it to you. So that's a helpful tip for those of you like myself that has trouble processing what you read. This is now your two-time guest on the program. I think Tim Shriver, chairman of Special Olympics, I think, has also been a two-time guest on this podcast. But do you have any final thoughts on your overall time here today? I always enjoy talking with friends and having friends like yourself to share your story and share new projects that you are working on. But do you have any final thoughts on now being a two-time guest on the Special Chronicles podcast?
Wow, Daniel, I feel special to be up with Tim Shriver. That's a big honor. Honestly, I would just say thank you again. I really appreciate that you and I have been able to connect over the years and support each other through everything that we've gotten to do. I really appreciate being able to share my book on your podcast. I just want to say to people, just really as a message that I want people to really get to is, again, just don't give up and always just try to reach out to people if you can, because you never know um, who you're going to be able to get help from. Or, I mean, look at Daniel and I have been able to help each other out, which has been awesome. So that's one good thing I like about our little small community of being people with intellectual disabilities is we're able to help one another out. So I would just say, yeah, just don't give up, reach out, because you'll never know, who can give you the support that you need, and maybe become like a mentor to you or whatever. So yeah, just be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not, and just keep on going. And I know it's not always easy for us to go and do the things that we want to do and push through, but it's always worth it in the long run. No matter how hard it is, always the hard stuff seems to always give us the biggest rewards, even if it's a little bit risky.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So as we wrap up, we have one final question. As we wrap up, we of course want our listeners to listen to this podcast, but even more than that, we want our listeners to take action and to bring inclusion into their communities, into their towns, into their workplaces, schools. And this question that I've been asking ever since we both were at the 2019 Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi, I've been asking this final question. And so we've got a bumper, so let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
equality.
Dignity.
And the recognition of our shared humanity.
We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
So just like I've done for the past few years, I'll do with you, Crystal, as well, and ask you, what does inclusion mean to you?
Oh boy, inclusion. Wow, that's a good one. I think for me, more importantly, it just means not only to be included in family, but also be included with your friends and your community. Just, being able to share your thoughts with others and share your gifts, I guess I would say is a good one.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you again, Crystal, for the past hour, for taking the time to come on the Special Chronicles podcast. And anytime that you and your husband Matthew want to come back on, you know how to get in touch with me. Say hi to Matthew for me, and thank you again. I hope you all listeners will go and check out Crystal's book. But thank you again, Crystal, for coming on the Special Chronicles podcast.
Thanks, Daniel.
And Crystal, thank you so much for joining us here on the Special Chronicles podcast. Your story is powerful, heartfelt, and so needed in today's world. Your memoir, Finding My True Happiness, is already making a difference, and we're proud to help share it. I hope all of you listening will definitely go to Amazon and wherever you get books and get Crystal's memoir, Finding My True Happiness, and share it with your friends, share it with your families, so more people can hear Crystal's story. To all of you, our listeners, we hope this episode has inspired and empowered you to rethink about what it means to live fully and authentically, no matter the the challenges. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode at specialchronicles.com, specialchronicles.com, where you'll find links to Crystal's book, Ways to Connect with Her, and more resources related to whole disability awareness and empowerment. This episode is brought to you by our amazing partners, ComEd Energy First, the nation's first energy and solar efficiency education program designed on top of people with disabilities, and United Airlines Bridge Disability with Business Resource Group, connecting people of all abilities. If you like this episode, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and on your favorite podcast platform, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message and Crystal's story today. Until next time, remember, disability is just one part of who we are. It doesn't define us. It empowers us. Until next week, until the next episode, I'm Daniel, host and founder of Special Chronicles. We'll catch you all later. Remember, choose to include. Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smikowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes absolutely for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks as always to our business manager, Adam Smukowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smukowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.